Hello learners, welcome back to another session. In the previous session, we had talked about the type theories of personality, and today we'll be talking about the trait theories of personality. And to facilitate you on the same, here I am, Sujike Sani, Assistant Professor from the Department of Psychology from the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. Now let's begin with our session. Well, as you can see on your screen, we begin with what is the definition of a trait, right? As I mentioned in my last lecture, typology is a type is when you put people into category or their personalities into category based on certain common shared characteristics. However, a trait theorist says that people cannot be categorized into just simple typologies because it does not just do justice to the diversity that we come across in different personalities. Henceforth, they have given the trait theory, which states in which a trait is a disposition, a feature. All right. So when you explain your best friend that he's punctual, generous, hearty, you are actually trying to explain the traits of that person via which we can differentiate one person from the other. Well, for a trait to be called a trait, there are certain characteristics. One, a trait should be consistent in the sense, suppose if I say that I am a shy person, well, my shyness should be evident at my workplace. It should be there at home. It should also be there in a public scenario. All right, then only will it be called as consistent. The second feature to make a trait is stability. So if I have the trait of shyness, suppose if I'm shy today, well, this trait has to be there in me in some form, in some moderation, 10 years down the line also. Suppose, for example, if I describe a friend of mine from school days and I say this person is gregarious in nature, when I meet that person 10 years later also, this particular trait would be there in my mind. Oh, this person was gregarious back then. He would also exhibit the same trait even today. And the third thing, the trait must have the capacity to differentiate between a person A and a person B. If I am shy, then the other person will get differentiated if that person is confident. Henceforth, shy becomes a trait. Confident becomes a trait, because via these traits you can differentiate one person from another. Now let's look at the theories via which they have tried to prove that personalities actually exhibit a trait trademark. Well, on the screen, as you see, we have Allport's trait theory, Cattell's trait theory, Ising's trait theory, and then Costa and Macrae's trait theory, also called the Big Five model. Let's begin with the first one. Gordon Allport, well, he tried to classify personality according to the traits. He said that there are two forms of trait. You can have common traits, you can have personal traits. Common traits are those traits which are as such found in almost everyone. However, personal traits are the ones that are actually found in certain individuals only, and that is, these personal traits are the ones who actually help us in the distinctiveness of different people. The first one we have in personal traits, the cardinal traits. Cardinal traits are rare in people. They are those overwhelming traits. They are those overriding traits via which a person's whole behavior is dominated by that particular trait, right? In that person's whole behavior decorum, this trait would be visible, manifested all across the time, all across the situations. For example, Mahatma Gandhi's non-ahimsa. All right. So you can assume that in all aspects of his behavior, he would have kept this one particular trait, that he has to be non-violent in his approach in all forms, with all people, in all situations, right? And cardinal traits develop later in life. All right. And as you can see on your screen also, Mother Teresa's altruistic behavior. The second, we come to the central traits. Well, they are the ones which are found in almost everyone. These are 5 to 10 in your personality, and these are those traits which you will be writing in your letter of recommendations. These are actually the traits via which we describe a person. This person is very honest. This person is very punctual, generous. This person is very hygienic. When you do this, you're actually talking about what? That person's, you're talking about central traits. And finally, we have the secondary traits. These are the traits that talk about your likes and dislikes, the attitudes. These traits depend upon the present situation. So, like if it's a rainy season, I would prefer a pakoda or a chai. But if it's a sunny season, it's a sunny weather, I would not prefer a hot beverage. So, that makes it what? My secondary trait. Let's move on to the second one. As you see on your screen, we have Raymond Cattell's trait theory. Raymond Cattell actually created 16 different source traits, but he first of all classified them as what? Surface traits and source traits. Surface traits are the ones that are there on the periphery of your personality. They are clearly exhibited in your personality, right? Whereas source traits are the ones which are the undergoing factors on the basis of which you have your surface traits. I can give you an example. Surface traits example is if somebody is funny, selfless, sociable, these are your surface traits. But if I classify them together, and what is the underlying reason why these people are sociable, friendly, or these people are selfless and funny? Because there is a source trait called friendliness, right? Cattell identified 16 different source factors via which we have our 16 personality factors test. Let's move on to the next category that he gave was constitutional versus environmental traits. Constitutional traits are those traits which are influenced by genetics like your IQ, and environmental traits would be those traits which you have picked up because of the influence of the environment around you like your language. The third categorization that we have is of ability, dynamic, and temperamental traits. Ability are the ones, these are those traits which actually differentiates you in terms of your abilities that you possess, like a musical ability, a spatial ability, right? They helps you to achieve your certain goals. That's why they're called as the ability. And then dynamic traits are the ones that give you a direction. These are your sentiments and attitudes that actually gives you a direction towards where you have to move. Suppose if my attitude toward animals is positive, I am a person who believes in taking care of animals, then my direction would be that I do take care of these animals in my street. Not only that, when I grow up, as a child, when I grow up later on, I get into NGOs or organizations that are working toward the animal welfare. The last one is temperamental traits. These are the traits, these are your emotions and moods while you are doing a task. With which energy, with which emotion are you driven to finish that task? That's called your temperamental traits. We come to Ising's trait theory. Well, he divided the personality traits into introversion versus extroversion. It's pretty similar to what we have Carl Jung's introversion and extroversion as well. Introverts are the people who are shy in nature, right? And they are the ones who would love to remain in their own comfortable space. And extroverts would be the ones who are very outgoing, social, merry-go-round kind of personalities. Neuroticism. Well, let me classify. If anybody is showing traits of neuroticism, I want to clarify here. We're not saying that that person is neurotic. However, that person is showing vulnerability or has more traits pertaining to neuroticism. Like neuroticism refers to a certain amount of your control over your own emotional stability. So somebody who can be categorized as having a trait of neuroticism, this person would be someone who is very moody, sad, emotionally quite influenced, right? Easily triggered. And on the other part of its continuum, we have the personality of emotional stability. The third, which was given by Ising some later on years, was psychoticism. The same clarification I want to give for this as well. Somebody who has traits of psychoticism does not refer that that person is psychotic. However, has those personality traits which are similar to a personality of psychotic. That is, these are the people who have a disregard for rules. They're a person who have a disregard for others, rule breaking behavior, right? Those traits would come under the trait of psychoticism. And the last one that we have for our session today is the Big Five model, first introduced by Fiske and then later on developed by Costa and McRae, wherein they said the 16 personality factors given by Raymond Cattell can be brought down to these 5 traits globally. There's much research going on whether they too are just enough or not. However, they are the ones that are actually popular in the contemporary types, amongst which the first one is agreeableness. These are the people who have a lot of insight, right? These are the people who actually would show traits of kindness. They are the people who would show traits of trust, gullibleness, right? Then we have the second trait, conscientiousness. It is believed that most leaders have this trait of conscientiousness. They are the people who have very goal-directed behavior, impulse control behavior, and they also are the ones who would plan on an activity beforehand so that they can think of all the pros and cons, and they can measure and they can have a control situation when that situation happens in future. So they'd be the ones, if they have a trip happening next month, they would start planning about each and every minute detail 30 days prior to that trip itself. So they can be called organized, right? The third one is, as we have been talking about extroversion traits, they are the ones who are very open going, very new to the ideas of meeting new people. They're also the ones who enjoy, who are driven by the energy of the people around them. Fourth is openness. Openness refers to a trait which talks about insight, creativity. These are the people who are very open to novel experiences. So they are the ones who are very flexible in their personality. If you give them, if you introduce a change to them, they will take it on with full optimistic attitude. And the last one for the day and for our session today is neuroticism. They are those people who would show some form of emotional vulnerability, are triggered, and their behavior is actually directed by their emotional cues. Those are the ones who would come under or possessing the traits of neuroticism. So these were the four trait theories given by the four thinkers that have named Allport, Ising, Cattell, and finally Costa and Macrae. And there's a huge debate between which theory is better, typology or the trait theories. Both come with their own positive points, both come with their own negative points. However, having an idea of both is a good thing to do. And well, for today's session, this is me. I'm signing out. For more such informative sessions, you can log on to the BSS Rhythm page. Thank you so much.